Hey folks, me again. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about tire service and tire and wheel service and what we need to really look out for. Kind of a brief overview of it, and also to make sure you understand that a lot of this is going to be in your your suspension steering class, where they're going to really get deep into this. But I want to kind of show you an overview of what it's all about. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to bring up the slide presentation on this, like we always do. And we're going to get this puppy started here. There we go. All right. So, and there's a cute little video I'll probably share with you at the end of here. So, one of the things that we do in tire service is looking for leaks. One of the best things I find is a spray bottle with some soapy. Uh, it could be any kind of soap that actually bubbles up really good, because this is going to help you, find where that nail is, or and believe it or not, I actually had one where it was actually a toothpick that I picked up and flew inside of a tire, and it made it actually an air leak on it. It was kind of different. Used the nails and pieces of wire and stuff like that, but a toothpick. But anyways, this is one of the things that you want to have when you get into tire, kind of tire service and stuff like that. Okay, so again, going back to inflation, pressure and the load capacity, just because the tire says that it'll take a max of 35 psi doesn't mean that's what you have to have in it. And please understand that each tire has its capabilities. When you start seeing the cars with a lot of weight on the rear wheels, and they kind of flatten out a bit because of so much weight, doesn't mean add more air into it. That means you are overloading that tire, and you have possibilities of actually causing failure on that tire. So it has a capability of a certain amount of weight, and it has a capability of so much air pressure. So there is a relationship between the two. Um, you know, like and we said, it is a major contributor to fuel economy if you keep the air pressure up. This is why the California Air Resources Board put out a document saying that, hey, you must put air in it, and shops are required to actually log air pressure in and out, at least out, to make sure it has been done. Here is, kind of a little chart on, percentage of air the tire wear with less or more, less air, and then it's supposed to have in it, so it can actually cause that drag, which would cause it to scuff the tire a little bit and cause it to actually lose tread on top of it too. Of course, temporary, pump, inflation pump, with 12 volts for the circulator can actually inflate the tire to keep it up. There is other, like I kind of mentioned it before, well, you can actually get aerosol cans with air in them and inflate them too. This is some of them actually have a sealant in them. I'm just a little shy away from that. I've had some tire service I've done, and it's just super wet with when I break the tires down, and all of a sudden I got all this moisture and the sealant inside, and it takes a lot to clean up. If there's a leak, yeah, for the temporary, you can actually use a sealant, but if it's a fairly big leak, you're not going to seal it. But this is temporary. It's only to get you someplace and have that actual tire repaired. It's probably better to put on that spare tire, whether it be a speedy those temporary a tire, or a full-size tire. I prefer the full size, but doesn't mean it always is going to be. Here's what I talked about in one of the other slides. It shows that it actually has nitrogen. This is the green cap, kind of identifying that. So this is one of the things I look for when I'm servicing. This is one of the things that ARB will take, the California Air Resources Board will take as a, I wouldn't say an excuse, is a notation on the customer's document saying the customer has nitrogen identified by green caps, and there's no nitrogen supply at our shop, and then you can actually write it down, and they'll give you a little bit of leadway on it. But if it's a regular tire, not nitrogen filled, you need to fill it up and make sure that happens. Uh, Here is again showing tire wear. This is more than likely going to be, uh, but this one actually sees a lot of wear in it. You can see it's past the wear bars, so they just kept on driving it until the tire is pretty much toast. But this may be an indicator of a front suspension problem or an um, actual alignment problem. So this is something to look at when you're doing your inspections. Here is a bubble that actually, maybe somebody was hitting curbs, and this will cause damage to the tire sidewalls. And there's, like we've seen in previous presentations, there is a set of cords inside. If one of those gets ruptured by a hard hit, this can cause a bubble, and this tire needs to be replaced. Here's showing some tire wear on the shoulder. Again, it could be because of alignment problems. It could be, believe it or not, I've seen a few cases of this when people think they're Mario Andretti or a race car driver, and they'll hit corners real quick, and you'll start seeing some weird scuffing going on too. Here's kind of an indicator at an actual Lexus dealer that used to actually show the different tread depths according the amounts, and kind of show your customers, see how low this is on that wear bar. This is what you really want to be concerned about, because look at tread patterns pretty much gone out of it. All those nice little cuts are gone. See how a nice tire looks, and this is kind of like, yeah, it's time to replace. And this is, God, if you didn't replace it, you really need to replace it now, because this is going to be a problem. Always remember to tighten the wheels in a sequence, and you want to do in a star pattern. When you start doing tire services, you're going to start at one end and go in a crisscross pattern. We call it the star pattern. And you want to first bring them down to tight, and then you want to go in and torque them all the way down. And remember to always torque it down to specifications. And we'll have some safety locks, and these are for anti-theft. You get a nice pair of rims, you don't want anybody to take it away from you. And this is one of the things you want to ask the customer for before they leave your facility, to make sure you get to have that key. If you don't have the lug key, man, it is not fun trying to get those lug nuts off. You may not get them off. There are some special tools you can buy to actually get them off, but then it usually damages the anti-theft lug nut. Like I said before, always torque them, but torque them when the car's on the ground, not up in the air. I've seen some guys want to torque them up in the air, and you want to have it down so there's some kind of restriction, and learn how to use a torque wrench properly. There is a proper way of torquing. You don't want to do nice, quick, snapping motions. You want to do nice, gradual movements. Here's a torque stick. I'm not a big fan of it, but a lot of your different agencies like Auto Club require a shop that is certified by them, or actually referred to by them, and they require actually torque sticks. And this torque stick will twist when it gets up to a certain amount of pressure. I prefer an actual torque wrench. Here's what can happen with wheel fatigue. This is damaged by improperly torquing. Like I said before, it allows it to move around, and then it can actually break. And if you have the wrong lug nuts, I've seen this happen too. So this is something to really look at also. When you're doing your inspection, you want to look at the wheel to make sure it doesn't have a lot of ovaling and that going on too. Here is how, depending on the manufacturer you have, and the car you have, I should say, you may have different sequence of rotating tires. They may be back and forth, but they may be crisscross, and some tires are actually directional. So you want to make sure they are not put in the opposite direction. And you'll learn more about this when we get in. You guys start getting into the different suspension and steering classes too. So here's showing some common ones. We've got some crisscross going on, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, and then front wheel drive, crisscross, and then front and back. So front and back, is pretty much going to be rotational. So the tires designed and the rim are matched, so they are supposed to go one direction only. So if you were to swap it on the other side, that puts it in the opposite direction, and you can actually have tire strange feel in the tire and stuff like that. This is showing the run out of the tire, and what can happen is you get some wheel hop, and usually that's an indication of the inside of the tire, kind of that little major splice we showed before, and that kind of separation going on, and this is a good indication of it. And usually you get kind of some really strange feel, almost like it's hopping when you're going down the street. And this is kind of a little gauge that shows how much variance you got on you. Ideally, it's totally true, but there's a little bit of a tolerance between the manufacturer. And this is showing rim run out. And again, if you get a customer that's actually hitting, curves and stuff like that, it can actually bend on some of the metal rims, and that can actually cause them to get tweaked a little bit, and then you get this kind of wobble affair going on. So if you're trying to find out a pull or some kind of a strange feel the customer's complaining about, a vibrational, this might be one of those checks you want to do. And this is one type of run out, and here's a different type of run out again. This one's showing this way, one's showing this way. And this is kind of looking again on the different, how accurate the measurements on the actual tire when you're dismounting and stuff mounting. Do we do this all the time? No, usually it's from a complaint. But if you've seen something obvious that's dented really well, you might want to think about it. This is just cleanup work when you get ready to mount a tire, and especially on some of the alloy wheels. I don't feel this is done enough. But you need to clean it up because you want to have that nice bead actually seat, and you don't get the air loss. All right, and then of course your TPMS sensors, you got to be really aware of where they're at, and this is really for the tires machine setup. If you put the tire machine in incorrectly and you start taking the tire off, you could hit this and damage it. Some of these are pretty cheap, but some of them are $100 a copy. So you don't want to have to put money out that you might have been making. This is an indicator of where the actual, there's some yellow, the yellow dot saying that it was statically balanced. Red dot means it was radial force, vibration first, harmonic maximum. So there's different, on some tire shops, they'll actually mark them to see how they are actually set up. And actually, some of them will actually tell you where the valve stem is set. There's different rulings behind this, but this is kind of some indicators. And like I said before, some tires are actually directional, and you want to make sure they go in the right direction. So here's rotational, and this is side facing outwards, side facing outwards rotational. So this is kind of giving you, just by reading the side of the tires, it tells you a lot. And then we have some different drop type rims that are actually in, it kind of giving you how the flanges are set up. You always want to have good lubricant when you're mounting and dismounting tires, and not a lot. So when you're dismounting, because a lot of times the rubber is very hard when you're servicing tires. Maybe you got a flat tire and you're going to patch it, and if you don't use a rubber lubricant, you can tear those sidewalls. And this is showing you kind of the way the wheel balancer detects the kind of the movement on some of the heavy spots on the tire. That's what basically they're looking for. And then we have wheel weights, and then those wheel weights are for balancing. We're going to offset those heavy spots. Like you'll have a heavy spot here, and you're going to, place another weight over here to balance that out as you go across. And there's different weights for different types of wheels. Not all wheels are made the same. You have the metal wheels, aluminum wheels, it's composite wheels. These can have different setups. And one of the things, you have assortment of weights, and then you have to find out what kind of weight it is. And they're depending on what shape of wheels, what weight will actually fit and stay on there. One of the things that can happen, you put the wrong weights on, they can actually pitch them. In other words, throw them off when you're driving down the street, and all of a sudden you got a balance problem again. This is a different one too. And you get to find a perfect match for the rim itself. And here we have some stick-on weights. These are pretty common on your aluminum and some of your composite type wheels to actually balance them out. So you can see this stack of weights. And these are different ounces across the way. And here's a tire weight puller. So this is a special set of pliers that actually will peel the kind of this, not so much the stick-on weights, but the weights that actually are placed on and a kind of a friction feed to them. Here's a nice little weight machine. I should say a balancer, not weight machine. This is what they call a road force machine. You'll see this little wheel here actually puts pressure on the wheel. And this is what we have in the shop at Santa Ana College. And it gives a better ride and a better feel because we put a certain amount of force on it, and then we can actually balance them correctly. So here is a liquid kind of tire leak, like I was talking about earlier. And these, you might have them seeping out when you have somebody that's actually used a stop leak, and they may never seal. Different types of setups for the adapters, for the wheel balancers, and depending on the machine you have is what kind of setups you're going to be. And just a little bit of the covers you got to take off and remove to actually do some of the aftermarket wheels and stuff like that. Kind of talking about some of the hub eccentrics that might be put in place. This can actually throw off some of your weight balancing and stuff like that too. And then important when you're talking about tire, for repairs, this is the swivel area where you can actually repair the tire. You're not supposed to. I'm not saying you can't. Some people, unfortunately, do. And there's so much movement from this area that it's going to cause, that patch or whatever to come loose. So this is the swivel area. And there's a special tool for actually putting patches on. There's different types of patches out there. There's actually a string patch. This is a patch that goes over the hole. Just remember, anytime there's an actual an object come through, that actually lessens the integrity of the tire too. Here is, like I said, you put the patch in. There's actually a sticky material, a glue that you put on the inside of the tire. Not the outside, but you're going to do it from the inside. And then you're actually going to use this tool to actually kind of force all the air out as you go across. There's another style that actually has a plug affair to it with the actual sealer part of it too, which is probably a little bit better. So here's the mounting machine, and this is one style. This is not all of them. There's different ones out there. And this is to mount this mounted tire. There is a set of pedals. And depending on what pedal you push is what's going to do, what's going to happen, which movement you're going to be doing. So this is actually rotating, and this is clamping the tire onto the machine. And then we're actually talking about breaking the tire bead loose because that bead, hopefully it's sealed really good. And when you let the air out of it, you're going to have to break the beads loose because you're not going to be able to just put it on the tire machine and break them loose. It might be too much effort. So there's actually a bead breaker, is what I'm trying to say. So of course, first thing you want to do is take the stem out, and take that stem and put it someplace where you can save it. If you're doing a tire replacement, you're going to want to replace the whole valve stem assembly. But this is going to actually be the core piece that you want to keep if you're just doing a tire repair. Here is that bead breaker, what I was talking about. So this bead is going to be almost like glued on, and you're going to use the part of the machine to break this guy off. And then you're going to go through and move pedals to actually clamp it on. You got it up on the machine. Now you can actually, after you've broken the bead loose, and you can actually use a couple of tools. This is one of them. And we're going to actually take a little bar. This bar is going to help you remove the tire from the actual rim itself. And please be very cautious. There's special tooling for some of your and we're only showing you the metal rim. But if you have a tire that's expensive, there's actually some other steps you need to do. And then again, they're going to show you some of the actual the suspension and steering costs. Here is another kind of little bit of how we can get this stuff started. So we're starting off by prying and getting to the bottom here. So you're going to do the top part first, and then you're going to go to the bottom part and bring that up too to get it off the rim. Here we go. I did a little bit different. This is not including your drop spindles too. So there's a total different procedure. And then we'll do the same thing we did on the top part, and we're going to do it on the bottom part. So here I'm cleaning it all up, and I want to make sure all my surfaces are nice and clean. I may have to actually use a friction disc to clean it up a little bit more, depending on what kind of material is still in place. I always replace the stem or valve stems when I'm putting a newer tire on. You may have your shop policy to replace them all the time. Some shops only when you're doing tire replacement. And here again, always remember to put new lubricant on to make sure it gets nice and easy going in. You don't want to, again, you don't want to break those beads. And it's showing you actually it's going back in. And we want to do the bottom part first, and then we do the bottom section. It's the bottom section, then the top part. And then we're going to air it up. And we're going to use the machine to help air it up. After we get enough air in it, and it's actually the bead has been actually seated, we'll go ahead and actually put this valve core back in and get it up to inflation pressure. Tire repairs, there's different types. Like this has a little piece of metal in it. If it's just a surface one, it may not leak. Again, your spray bottle, soap spray bottle will kind of tell you if it's leaking or not. And depending on what kind of plug you're going to be using, you may be just using a awl to go down and kind of clean out the tire area, the whole area, I should say. And we'll put a patch on this particular one. So we're going to scuff it up a little bit by using a kind of a little friction disc. Take a little bit of glue. We're going to put it in that area. Let it dry a little bit. And then we're going to peel off a patch. This one actually has a neat little spike to it that we can actually pull on through, and it actually plugs the whole inside all the way out. And we have a full kind of sealant, not just in the back side on the inside of the tire, but also in the actual area that it actually was damaged because the screw or the metal piece going in. And here's the tool to actually, it's just a pair of pliers. Pull it on through, get that nice and sealed. I'll probably run my little tool down on it to make sure it gets all the air out of it. And then I cut off the little rubber piece that might be on the end of it. And I'll cut it down to kind of flush area. And then it's a good repair because it not only seals the inside, but also seals that actual inner part that has the hole in it. And that way it makes it a better seal. And chances of leak is going to be very little. But remember, anytime you do a tire repair, depending on the tire manufacturer, they might void warranties as far as your speed ratings and your load values. because of the repair. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. All right. All right, folks. So I think that's just going to, on our tire series, this is going to be the end of it. But hopefully that gives you some kind of idea of how tires are mounted, dismounted. And there's a cool video. And matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and jump right over, hopefully, to that. And let's see now. Let me get that particular one. I got to stop the share and go over to the next little slide, and which is going to be on my next little goodie here. And let's see, let's go over to the next one and go. Hey, give me a second here. I got to get up to, and it is a cute little video and showing how easy some of the tire machines are. The tire machines on the years back, we were bead busters, as they used to call them, and you had all manual machines. Nowadays, the machines are actually fully automatic. So this is a neat little, quick little video. It's not very long, and it shows you how easy this particular tire machine is. And it's really good for not only doing, regular, metal wheels. It's also good for the actual, the other type of wheels that are out there too. So I don't see my video up yet. Here it is. I got it. All right. So hopefully you're seeing this right now. This is all for you to actually look at too. Stop it for a second there. I hate this. One more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing on this before I get going. I got to turn on the sound. If I don't turn on the sound, you're not going to hear anything. And let's do optimize it too. So let's go ahead back into where we were, and I'll start it from the very beginning. And here we go.
Grammarly helps make your writing
Unfortunately,
clear
they
and
have to have all the
concise, no matter
commercials
where
on
you are. Compose a cover letter.
All right, pretty cute, huh? Anyways, it's really automatic machine that actually allows you very little effort. And back when I was first busting tires, as they used to call it, we had to do all that manually versus doing it mechanically. All right, so hopefully that was entertaining and maybe a little bit of fun. I will be talking to you next week on some more good stuff coming up, and we'll